now something completely different. So it seems like now it works. Now we're going to destroy a PC. First, okay, ja. Also jetzt kurz die Anmoderation auf Englisch. Kriegst du noch eine auf Deutsch?
You want the translation button is somewhere down here somewhere. And if you want to ask questions, use the formula. There is a Frage button somewhere. And if you don't quite understand what's going on, go to the PrivacyWeek.at. There is an English section. Click on that as all the information. Thank you. So that's zurück zum Hetty.
So, and now back to Hetty. Hi, Hetty. Hetty. Hi. Hetty. So, today you, as a French Viennese from Corinthia, presenting to the guy from Salzburg. Yeah, so he's just from very different places. You can also see Hetty is also an angel, so he's also a volunteer working here. He's also a member of the Chaos Computer Club in Vienna. And he's a hardware hacker, so he's also in the Meta Lab, so a hackerspace in Vienna. So he's a great guy, and he'll show you how you destroy your PC by clicking on the wrong things. Okay, so now they're doing some short server creation stuff. Good. Well, hello. Good evening. So we have a nice virtual machine you see here, which was prepared for me, and we'll see what we can do with it by downloading some ransomware, executing it, look if it actually works. Maybe if it can work with open source software like LibreOffice and not just with Microsoft Word. So you see we have this PC here. I'm still missing some test files, so I'll just look for wallpaper packs to have some example files which can be encrypted. So I just take the first one. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Windows background wallpaper pack. That looks great. So let's buy it. Meaning downloading it. So okay. So the experience is pretty bad. From the store experience is pretty bad. I thought I can just download it, so I'll just use the browser. Yeah, okay, then let's take this one. Okay, so there's a Halloween pack. Okay, great, tomorrow is Halloween, so but that's only 3 pictures, cute and cuddly. Maybe there are more. Yeah, 23, that's better. So yeah, baby Oleg wallpaper. Yeah, but there's only one wallpaper. No, I actually want like a collection. Let's see where we can find the now seeing how to say search engine skills live. Yeah, so that looks good. Like 50 wallpapers in one zip file. Let's have a look if that actually works. Oh, obviously it seems to be difficult to get the collection of wallpapers, which you can just download as one file.
Weil ich würde genau von her zeigen, wie sich das dann...
Because I'd like to show how it changes. Maybe this one? Oh, yeah.
Download?
Download was at the top. Wrong direction. There's a download now. Oh yeah, now he found it. Great. So okay, now Firefox is complaining. But Hetty doesn't care because he actually wants to destroy his PC. So yeah, he accepts everything now. Yeah, great. Now he gets more advertisements. Yeah, jump over the ads. Yeah, that looks pretty catastrophic. Looking at all the pop-ups. I hope I get at least the wallpapers and not just adware. Oh no, it's a 404, so it's just ads, it's no download. But maybe there's a wallpaper for Windows already. No system error here. Let's check. Okay, so we were like failing at the wallpaper collection already. Let's try this one. That looks good. Maybe you just explain what a wallpaper is. Okay, I mean, it's just a collection of wallpapers. Just in German we say wallpapers as well. That's why we can explain it in German. So we want to have some data which can be shown that it's encrypted. So we want to see after the ransomware was executed that the data is really encrypted and so no longer readable. And so we need some data. Okay, now great. We found something at XDA. So let's now unzip it here. Whatever. So we can see that those files are gone afterwards. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it's not too many, but still as a proof of concept, it's totally sufficient. And now we go to this website, which is a malware bazaar. This is where we can download malware samples. That's done. It's by a Swiss malware researcher. Yes, bazaar.abuse.ch. So if you're interested in malware, definitely check out the abuse.ch homepage. That's a great guy doing that. And it's a database. And don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing, because you can actually really download malware here, which will get executed and destroy your computer. So really don't try this at home, except you're also a security researcher like Hetty here. So now you'd say he's downloading and to check, and let's check what kind of ransomware is there. It's taking a bit because they have a lot of samples. I watched yesterday, I had a look yesterday, so they had approximately like 100 samples of different ransomwares. Okay, when did ransomware appear? The first appearance of ransomware, what do you... Yeah, it's clearly a bit older. I think 2 years ago I made a talk. I think it's more than 20 years old ransomwares at the beginnings, where they just it's like just hid folders or renamed folders or encrypted folders, and like even like for they distributed those using floppy disks, and then the internet came and slowly started distributing the stuff over the internet, and then you had to order something at some very weird looking online pharmacies. So it started actually already offline, and then when the internet came, it was of course distributed online. So what is the algorithm behind the encryption? Well, you have different, usually they use AES, so the Advanced Encryption Standard, and the key is created by RSA, or it's encrypted by a public RSA key. And the developers, the malware developers, have the private key, and they may give it to you if you pay them, but you don't have any guarantees on that. So now you have here the selection, and so you see the hash of the of the file. You see the signature. You also see the tags and the type of file. I would like to have just a basic Office document. Now let's go back. See. So because I would like to try if it actually works with OpenOffice or LibreOffice, because usually it works with Word, also Microsoft Word. But last time I checked, it also worked with. Last time I tested with a live demo, it with OpenOffice. Okay, the password is of course infected. And then last time it didn't work because it said it just had a debug error and said because it's LibreOffice. Okay, he used LibreOffice, but he said OpenOffice, it's not the same software, no one cares. Good. Okay, so let's unzip that. Password is infected. Oh, we still have something called Windows Defender, which most likely won't allow that. The Defender got pretty good after Andrea asked whether since when does the Defender find anything. Yeah, but I want to deactivate it. Yeah, of course, now I have to put in the administrator's password.
Vielleicht könnten die Admins das kurz abschalten. Ginge das?
Okay, maybe the admins could like disable that. Obviously, it looks like Hetty doesn't have the admin password or admin rights.
Genau, also mittlerweile ist der Windows Defender wirklich.
By now, the Windows Defender has actually gotten really good. So if anyone asks me for suggestions for antivirus, I say use Windows Defender as you have it already. It's pretty good, I don't understand why you should pay extra money for other AVs if you have a good solution for Windows Defender. So I think one of the good things about the Windows Defender is that they actually know the system. And the others just sometimes make more. They destroy more than they're useful. Okay, that looks interesting. Exorcism something. Okay, let's download that as well. And just some collection again.
So.
You'll start it locally. Yes, I'll start it locally on this computer. He actually meant. Okay, I'll just ask the admins if they can deactivate the Windows Defender. So, at least we see proof that the Windows Defender actually sees. Well, the problem with AV software is that they have a signature they are looking for. So usually AV has to know the malware already, because so they can create a signature and have a signature in the database and just compare it to the data. Of course, you have other stuff which tries to analyze how the software behaves, which is executed, and when they start like accessing many files and tries to use encryption, they can detect it, but that doesn't help as well if they do it like with the time jump. So first they don't do anything and then just do it bit by bit and not at one run. Yeah, okay, so he used the word for part by part, which is very Austrian and not German, so it was just translated. Okay, so Hetty gets the admin password. So yeah, that's so you get an admin password to deactivate your Windows Defender. That's always good. So just tell if people ask you if you want to if they can execute malware, always help them to deactivate their AVs. So he will now remotely deactivate everything. So definitely don't do this at home, because just for the test you don't need any protection. Actually, you don't want protection. So now it should be better. Great. So let's try that. Repeat the process. Okay, so we will stop all of these. New attempt. So now, yeah, okay, now make another attempt at, now, okay, the password is infected. But now you have a Word document. Okay, let's open that up. LibreOffice is opening. What do we get? Okay, it has a macro, and I see a hint here. Macros can have viruses and blah blah blah. So LibreOffice has that's a good thing that they hide the option very well that you can accept macros. So with Word, Microsoft Office, you can just use one click, but with LibreOffice you actually have to go to the settings and look for it and activate it. So it's much more complicated, which is a good thing, I think, because it's more secure. Okay. Usual thing, so it says document protected because it says you have to enable macros to. So now let's enable the macros. First, let's have a look at the. Maybe let's tell people what a macro is. A macro usually is just a small script which executes some commands in the background. So, for example, you can just program something with that something is done in the background, so that you download a file or change something. But usual Word documents don't have animations and are rather static, so you don't have that many functions. But with macros, you can use this. So there are very different kinds of macros. So some are already within Word, so they don't need any special rights. So like for having a date, but more complex things, you have to do it in a like real programming language, like Virtual Basic. Okay, real programming language, we can discuss about that, but whatever. So now let's have a look at the document before we activate the macros. So it gives us an instruction, says, okay, yeah.
If the document was downloaded from your email, please click enable editing to the yellow bar above. So
you see here, there is no yellow bars that says enable editing above, because it's targeted on Microsoft Office and not on, because there you get this like yellow warning thing which says enable. Yeah, warning bar. Once you have edited, you also have to say enable content. And then so you get a second bar with the Microsoft Office, which first asks you to enable macros and then asks you to enable editing content. Yeah. If you do both of those things, then the script will be run in the background. The ransomware will be downloaded and executed. Very interesting is, you see, this document is completely safe to open. What? So safety safe to open. So it reads shady, and it also like sounds rather shady. But this is a very classical way to try to nudge people into enabling macros, because they tell you, yeah, this blurred thing is all. So what a question I always ask myself: why do most malware have so bad English? Don't they have any people who speak good English, or what? I don't know, but often it's really not relevant, because people often don't have the awareness, they don't think about it, and think maybe it has something to do with work, and many times it's in connection with really good mails which look like legit mails from work, and they really give you the feeling that this is an email which is important for your work, and you have to open it, and so you think, oh, I have to open this to continue my work, and then continue with this with these ideas and assumptions and nudges. People still activate it. Well, it's said that Israel inserted Stuxnet like that in Iran, so that they made this in a Word document. Yeah, malware is often embedded in doc files, because you can easily nudge people to open that, because if you don't know what to do, it doesn't look, it looks kind of not fishy, it looks okay. It doesn't look like bad, and it makes sense. Okay, so this document is protected, so I have to activate something that I can see. So this, at first glance, this looks like logical. And the malware inside is not the actual program, so it's just what? It's something that loads something afterwards. Yeah, that's usual. Usually you have a loader which just downloads something further malware from the internet. So now I just show you for how you can actually change this. You're going to settings, extras, options, security, and again settings. No, that were the wrong ones. Yeah, it's looking for it. Okay, yeah, there's it's like saying macro security, and we say we want the low security level, because we of course trust all of our Word documents, and we say okay. So now we restart it. Let's see what happens. So
noch passiert gar nichts.
By now, until now, nothing happens. Okay, something, at least a pop-up.
Vielleicht passiert das im Hintergrund. Schauen wir mal.
Something happening in the background. Let's have a look on the desktop with the wallpapers.
Nee, die sind doch alle
No, they're still here.
Okay, da passiert wohl aktuell gar nichts oder wir merken es. Vielleicht schauen wir mal in den Task.
Let's check if anything is doing on the task manager, if there's a new task. Let's see which processes are running. If there is something that looks strange. I have a question from the internet says that there's a blue bar at LibreOffice where there should be a yellow bar on Microsoft Word. So, but as I had them deactivated first, so maybe now we don't have the bar because yeah. Well, till now I don't see anything executing. So let's open the other document. Maybe that is doing something. Let's see. Again, unarchive it here. Infected is the password. Oh, that's an executable. So let's open the executable. That should do something because it's directly an executable. See what happens. Oh yeah. Suddenly it's starting like 50% CPU. Let's see, does it do anything? With 50% CPU, you do something. For now, for the LibreOffice document, I want to add that nothing happened, which is not that bad to see if you're using open source software. At least you're a bit more secure because all the malware is written for Microsoft Office and not for LibreOffice or other open source. You also can see here down at the bottom, so now the CPU is 100% used all the time. By now, still nothing is happening, but it looks like this program is really working. This usually doesn't look good if you have 100% CPU. Yeah, you see here, there's clearly something happening. Also like RAM. It seems like it already started to do. Hopefully the virtual machine won't crash. Let's see. What can you do if you get such malware? You just pull out the plug? Well, it depends where you are. So if you're at home as a casual user and yeah, of course, get out this plug off the wall and let the computer die. And then try to boot it with a Linux live system and see if you can save any data still. Before you do that, make a complete read-only copy of your hard drive, so without changing anything. And then at the end you can just store that somewhere. And maybe after some time, after the data has been encrypted, that the key becomes public, and people, so either researchers find a decryption tool or the ransomware authors themselves do this. So how good are those decryption tools usually? Well, when they are published by researchers, and then usually they work. Of course, the malware has to encrypt it in a way that it is actually decryptable, because some ransomware is like it encrypts in a way that is not decryptable either because they have a programming error or because they actually do this, which is like the worst case. Yeah, of course, because then you don't, it doesn't help you if you pay money because it's encrypted. This is usually called wiperware instead of ransomware. I'm still interested in what's happening here. So it clearly looks that if you like copy all your data after this happened, and I had a case where the person had ransomware and everything was encrypted. And after 1 year, the master key has been published from this ransomware, and we could restore the data after this year. So and for now, this is the moment where you should talk about backup. You should of course have a backup beforehand, but unfortunately people only realize that when it's too late.
An external device and just don't let it connect it, because the backup will just get encrypted as well. So for example, you can use an external device that you hand over to your parents and store it at your parents or a friend, and that way you can prevent having your local backup be encrypted as well. It of course makes sense to have an off-site backup outside your flat or living space, because if there's a hazard like a fire or somebody breaks into your wall, into your flat, you still have your data somewhere else and can retrieve it from there. Now, okay, I just lost my connection to the stream. Hang on a second. And we're back.
Ja, der hat ein bisschen gebraucht, bis das erwischt. Aber wir haben jetzt im Endeffekt alles verschlüsselt bekommen.
So now our ransomware in the background actually started doing things and started to encrypt our files, our wallpapers. So this is the Exorcist 2.0 ransomware. Looks interesting.
All your data has been encrypted with Exorcist 2.0 ransomware. Do not worry, you have some hours to contact us and decrypt all your data by paying us a ransom. Und auch interessant, oder?
Also interesting, also a kind of a trend. They're increasing prices for the ransom and start dropping the keys, so they nudge people to pay quickly before the keys to decrypt their files actually get destroyed. Here we have an authorization key. So that is used to identify us as a victim. And we can also look if we can find another ransomware that encrypts our files again, so we have a double encrypted file. So our first round is encrypted, and we'll see if we can do that another time. Let's see if that one works. Yeah, so we can get double trouble, because double the encryption is double the security. Of course not. Oh, they also encrypted our ransomware samples that we downloaded. That's interesting. Well, click on it and see if it still works. Password is still infected. Let's run that one here. Okay, we'll click on that. So the file is still working, maybe because it was already opened in memory. Okay, the Word file still works, but it does not run the macro virus. Get back, is it sufficient to make a shadow copy of the files? Shadow copies are small backups that Windows does in the background, but it does not gain you a lot anymore, because ransomware knows about this and also deletes those shadow copies. So you can't restore your files from a shadow copy anymore. So probably most easy is to create a full image of your computer onto an external media. Yeah, that would
So,
work.
schauen wir, ob da was weitergeht. Ob
So
die
let's
zweite
see
funktioniert, die
if
zweite
the
Version, die ich
second
runtergeladen habe. Nee,
sample
da passiert nichts.
works. No, does not look like there's anything running.
Aber mein Ziel wäre es heute, dass ich irgendwas
My goal would be
doppelt gemoppelt verschlüsselt,
to
2 Ransomware-Samples.
have some files doubly
Schauen wir, ob das
encrypted by
funktioniert. Aber
ransomware.
grundsätzlich ist die Sache, dass die Ransomware
But in
mittlerweile
principle, by now,
relativ
ransomware
gut geworden
is
ist.
has become quite good,
Und
and
auch die nutzen auch wirklich gute Kryptographie.
also uses strong
Und das
encryption,
normalerweise nicht mehr entschlüsselt.
and you usually cannot
Entweder
easily
wenn sie einen Fehler
decrypt
machen
that.
bei der Implementierung.
Sometimes
Oder
if they
weil
have
der Master Key
implementation errors, or if the master key
passiert.
gets published, you can still decrypt it. Who's
Genau,
publishing
also,
the keys? Somebody having
Die Schadsoftwareentwickler.
a
Das ist cool.
bad day and
Das sieht man ja nicht so ordentlich, aber da gibt es so einen Eigenkennzeichen, wie so
yeah,
ein Plusfolder.
ransomware developers have having regrets and publishing the keys.
Eventuell, also es ist Anwendung kennzeichnet.
So
Es hat so
now we
eine
have a
Eigenschaft nach.
application here. At least it looks like an application.
Plusfolder ist aber eine Anwendung.
Oh no, it disguises itself as a folder icon that you can add something to, but it's actually an application to
Da
run.
sind ab und zu ganz lustige
So we now look into the file properties.
Schau mal, ob da was Lustiges steht.
Let's see if there's
Schauen wir, ob da irgendwas
something.
passiert, wenn wir das ausführen.
Let's see what happens if you run that one.
Macht auch ein paar Dinge, also auch eine CPU-Leistung.
Okay, that instantly
Ich bin
uses
gespannt,
up
ob
some
das jetzt wieder Files
CPU.
verschlüsselt.
Let's see if that encrypts anything or if it shows anything. Okay, now we see IO storage rising, access
Das ist
rising.
auch ein Trick normalerweise, dass man irgendein
Also,
Icon zufügt zu der
A common trick
damit irgendwie ausschaut, als wäre es irgendwie ein
to
Ordner.
add a
oder
custom icon to
irgendein
your
valides
application.
Programm, wie so ein
So it
Flash
looks like
Player.
a folder
Obwohl es
or
eine
probably Flash player,
komplett andere Anwendung ist.
though in the background it's
So,
actually
das macht
something
auch
completely
etwas.
different.
Schauen
So
wir, was
this
passiert.
does something. Let's see what it is.
Schauen wir mal kurz, ob da noch was passiert. Da werden wir auch mal langsam noch Schluss machen für heute. Grundsätzlich ist zum Zusammenfassen, dass
In
ich
closing,
sehr stark Open Source Software empfehle, insbesondere
I can
LibreOffice
really
ist
recommend
kostenlos.
open source software, especially
Bei meinen
LibreOffice,
letzten
which
Tests,
is
wo ich
also
das vorgeführt
free,
habe,
libre and
hat
gratis.
die Ransomware in OpenOffice
So,
irgendwelche
and
Debug-Meldungen
that one ransomware
Debug-Modus gestartet von
did
dem
not
Skript
actually
in
work in
und hat sich
OpenOffice,
ausgeführt.
in
Das
LibreOffice, and started
meistens ist die Ransomware
outputting
wirklich
debug stuff.
für Microsoft Office.
So it's actually great to see how this works in the background.
Schauen wir mal, ob da was
And
passiert. Also,
usually
ich
ransomware is
darf
made
auslasten. Also ich vermute,
for
dass es auch
Microsoft
jemand das macht.
Office.
Ich bin sehr gespannt, ob es auch noch eine zweite Meldung rausgeht.
Quite excited if we get another
Wäre
message.
super, wenn die nochmal drüber verschlüsselt.
Would be great if it would
zusammen, man kriegt nicht auf
encrypt again.
auf den Bäumen ist. Und
Genau.
das sagt man,
So everything that's
das ist ja die alte
Also,
Leier.
not
Genau,
running quick enough is getting encrypted.
Öffnet bitte nur Programme aus
So in principle,
seriösen Quellen. Also
only use
auf einer
applications from
zufälligen Website nicht
trustworthy sources.
Das auszuführen.
Don't get them from anywhere
Es gibt
on
so
the
klassische
internet.
Webseiten wie chip.de oder so weiter, die schon
There's
Software
some
anbieten, aber
websites are
irgendwelche
commonly
sehr
known like
schlechten
chip.de.
Webseiten, die irgendwas mit Download anbieten,
They're
empfehlenswert.
mostly
Auch sehr
reputable
wichtig,
and
wenn man E-Mails bekommt, die
trustworthy.
anhängen, wo
Don't trust
im Endeffekt draufsteht,
attachments in emails
bitte öffnen, Dokument.
that tells you, oh, please open this, it's important for your work.
Es geht weiter. Ihr seht das.
Oh, and now we can see it's continuing
Grundsätzlich, wie gesagt,
the encryption.
aufpassen, auch misstrauisch sein, das ist ganz wichtig, vor allem bei
Yeah, be
E-Mails,
wary,
die anhängen mit
take
Word-Dokumenten.
care,
Und wenn ihr eigentlich ein
and
Word-Dokument öffnet und da ist ein Makro,
think
drin,
about,
das
should there be a macro in that Word document?
zu 99%.
And if it is, and you don't expect there to be a macro, Office documents should rarely have macros.
drin haben,
Close that document right away. Never activate macros in Microsoft Word.
Und es gibt auch die Funktion, dass man
Of course,
im Endeffekt
there are
das
work documents that really need them, but those should be well-known documents to you, and you can whitelist those
ihren Makro aktiviert haben wollen,
in
ist es
Microsoft Word, so only these macros can run. In general, if it's containing macros, it's usually and with a high expectation of ransomware or malware in that document. So now we got another ransom note, and it looks like our documents have been encrypted again. We have a question from the internet, and does double encryption actually work? Because that software usually looks at special extensions. Depends on the ransomware. Some ransomware checks the file document type, the MIME type, and the extension, and will only encrypt certain types. Then there's ransomware which just encrypts everything they can find in certain places. Okay, that one does not seem to have a name. So that one simply encrypts everything that it finds. So you can generally say that the extension is a key for the malware to encrypt or not. Similar question from the internet. Have you personally been targeted or been fallen victim to malware, or did you always get away with it? I personally have not been a victim yet, but a year or two ago I read there's Wine, which is not an emulator for running Windows binaries, to get them running under Linux, and that emulator is actually that good and compatible with Windows binaries, so they were actually able to run Windows malware binaries under Linux and got their files encrypted, which was not the intent. It happened to me that the malware actually escaped my sandbox and virtual machine and encrypted one of my drives. What about escaping virtual machines? Can malware escape VMs? Of course, there's no 100% security. In principle, it's quite hard. You usually have to combine multiple vulnerabilities, and usually you have to match very exactly the version numbers to exploit that. It's not really trivial to escape from a virtual machine. So you need multiple bugs and build a complex exploit chain. So if you're actually doing your updates regularly, that should not really be a big threat to you.
Und sie möglichst nicht online, also angeschlossen an den Computer lässt. Ja?
Genau, wie gesagt, also wir haben jetzt hier geschafft,
don't leave storage connected to the computer. So now we managed to doubly encrypt our files with Exorcist 2.0 and some other ransomware. So now you have probably to pay twice to get your files decrypted again. No more questions so far.
Wir sind schon eigentlich gut in der Zeit. Und
we're fine on time.
Eigentlich alles besprochen, was es so zu besprechen gibt.
So
also, Backup machen.
We've talked about everything, I guess. So it's about having backups like daily or at least weekly, have different or multiple backups.
Die selektiven Backups, die sequentiellen Backups.
Die inkrementellen, genau.
Yeah, incremental backups are probably the best ones. Oh, there's a question coming in.
Oder ändern sich nun immer meistens die Dateiendungen?
How easy is it to spot ransomware is just changing files of file extensions? Usually, ransomware has their own extensions, so usually you can spot it when ransomware starts encrypting. And you can clearly see and notice that your files are not working anymore and cannot be opened. And sometimes you even get a ransom note in your face that tells you, okay, we started encrypting your files and we want your money.
Dass wir genuschelt haben, wie wir gesagt haben,
the internet is posing some critique. We're not speaking very clearly. What about which backup software is great for Windows? I personally use just the Windows backup software on a separate partition. I don't really have a good recommendation.
IO Backup. Das ist in Java geschrieben. Ist
I've used all-in-one backup. It's written in Java.
IO Backup ist eine kostenlose Software.
It's a free software in Java.
Das Problem ist,
and
oder all-in-one, irgendwie muss man
the problem is,
es gibt so diese Backup-Software. Das Problem war, die war sehr umfangreich.
Problem is it's quite large. I can't find it at the moment.
Software. Aber grundsätzlich, es gibt ein paar, die meisten sind leider
There's a
sehr
bunch.
umfangreich.
Most of backup softwares are quite large to get
Ich
into.
empfehle auch, schaut euch
I recommend
Reviews an. Es gibt auch
reading
Tests.
reviews and tests.
Ich sage mal so, wenn man kann auch gerne mal 10, 20 Euro für gute Backup-Software ausgeben.
It's quite fine to pay like 20 or 30 bucks for software and reviews.
Und es gibt leider nicht die eierlegende Wollmilchsau.
So there's not the one that fits all.
Was ich aber weiß, ist mir, dass es nicht so viel Open Source.
What I know is unfortunately there's not that much open source software,
Das Problem auf Windows.
which is a bit of a problem on Windows.
Aber auf Windows fällt mir
On Linux, but on Windows
Freeware-Versionen.
you have some freeware version like free. Just look on free backup software Windows.
Es gibt, wie gesagt, ihr müsst
you
es
can
schauen. Ich habe leider keine.
Just you have to do some research yourself.
Okay, ein Kollege oder eine Kollegin, ein User.
One more question from the internet says
Link.
they are sending a URL which is called HTTPS.
Malware-guide.com.
Malware-guide.com.
2.0. Ransomware and recover encrypted files.
Okay, it's a very long URL. Is this a serious offer? I'll copy paste you the link.
Super.
Let's see.
Er will schon aufmachen, nichts kommt. Das ist zwar hier ein Apple, aber du weißt nicht.
It should be an Apple, but you know.
Irgendwann schaffen sie es auch noch.
Let's see. At some point.
Bitte, du hast.
Please, there's the
So,
URL.
schau mal, was das sagt. Nee, ich muss es.
Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, malwareguide.com/log. Okay.
Okay, schaut relativ professionell aus.
Looks a bit professional. Okay, so now Exorcist. Looks like someone tortured DuckDuckGo or some other search engine. Okay.
Schau mal.
Well, let's see. First view, that doesn't look bad. Well, but you can see here that they want to stop that. If I read Spy Hunter 5 here, that's that looks very very problematic and very dangerous. But on the other hand, this one, I'd say the information you can find there looks okay. So to describe what it does and what happens, but when I go done here and what you can download there, that is either that looks like ads and just software which does ads. So, and I don't think that this software will actually work. So
System Restore verwendet.
And how it shows you how you can use system restore if you have a restore. So it's just a bit of like a generic hint. Okay, we have to come to an end at that point. I know this backup topic is annoying, but so I just still want to take. So on Apple, you have also there's kind of a solution for backup. So what do you do on Linux? On Linux, I use Borg Backup, which is open source and free, which is pretty powerful, and you have a lot of like settings. And the great thing is you have to write a configuration for 1 or 2 hours, but after that it just works. So I just sat down at one point, so what kind of files I wanna back up, configured it, what runs shell script to have it, and then for one thing, it's for one run, it's backup to an external. Yeah, so Borg Backup is my suggestion for Linux desktop. Well, I'd say we're at the end. So thanks a lot for watching, and thanks for the questions. Thanks. So now the usual sermon at the end, you know. If you have any further questions to Hetty, just come to the breaking room. First, I want to thank all viewers and all the volunteers who make this possible. So like Hetty and me, people who make this event possible, and